Rot Lawley program. And now your host, Rot Lawley.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Brock Lawley program. My name is Brock Lawley. Long time no listen. Ladies and gentlemen, there was just a hearing. Washington, very serious faces, furrowed brows. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Russia, Putin. All the 80s are back, and not just in the hyperbolic nonsense, but it's going to be back with the prosperity too, baby. The prosperity, the jobs that make it rain. But I rabbit trail. That's not what we're talking about here. All the poobahs, all the bureaucrats were there. All the crusty, old, entrenched power players were there. Getting some camera time. Trying to pretend like they're serious people dealing with serious problems. Because Russia, ladies and gentlemen, Russia, greatest threat all of a sudden. What we have learned, by the way, before we get to the sound bites, of which there are many, and they are rich. I mean rich, like sweet little chickpea, like those peeps at Easter time. You know, that real sweet. That's how sweet these are. Ladies and gentlemen, Russia suddenly becomes a big, huge problem. And I notice the way you get Democrats in power. Because don't forget, Democrats have been in power and still are in power. That's always omitted from these conversations of egregious failure. Oh, there's all these problems. There's all these security problems. Oh, you know, the Democrats are all just beating the face right. You're in stinking power. Anyway, what we realize is to get them to do anything, you don't threaten the United States. You don't threaten the American people. You don't throw your force around and endanger innocents across the globe. That doesn't motivate squat. This is what you do. You expose the valueless, principleless, corrupt Democrat Party to the world and specifically to the voter base, and booyah! Their booties are in motion, ladies and gentlemen. They are serious. Ladies and gentlemen, this is back during the prior election, not the 2016 election. No, the election before that, the 2012 election. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Barack Obama on Russia.
When you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia. Not Al-Qaeda, you said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back because, the Cold War has been over for 20 years.
Russia, I indicated, is a geopolitical foe. Not a,
Number one.
Excuse me. It's a geopolitical foe. And I said in the same paragraph, I said, and Iran is the greatest national security threat we face. Russia does continue to battle us in the UN time and time again. I have clear eyes on this. I'm not going to wear rose-colored glasses when it comes to Russia or Mr. Putin.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a difference! What a difference in election where Democrats are buck naked, bare hiney exposed for the horrible, evil, corrupt party they are. What a difference an election makes, ladies and gentlemen. And I got to tell you, I can tell you the room, there's all these Starbucks cups strewn about. And there's Noam Chomsky books piled in the corner. There's clove cigarettes being smoked, and the Democrats are like, "Well, we're preparing for this election. We're going to write you a quippy line. It's going to be great, Barack Obama." This is how they do it. The same thing was true of this election with Hillary Clinton. All these little one-liners, piffy little one-liners, no heartfelt passion, no sincerity, and Barack Obama's just waiting on it. Oh, the 80s called, and they're going to want their foreign policy back. That's going to get on all the cable news shows. What a quippy comment. These guys, they act as though we don't live in a world of YouTube. Or more importantly, the media acts as though we don't live in a world of YouTube. That we can just clickety-clack, click into a Google search bar and return to this stuff. But now, Obama is serious. He's gotten serious. The scales have fallen off his eyes. He's a serious man now.
I told Russia to stop it.
Tonight, President Obama, for the first time, publicly blaming Russian President Vladimir Putin for hacking the 2016 U.S. election.
The intelligence that I've seen gives me great confidence in their assessment that the Russians carried out this hack. The hack of the DNC and the hack of John Podesta. Not much happens in Russia without Vladimir Putin.
And the CIA and FBI agree as to why Director John Brennan telling the CIA workforce in an internal message that, quote, there is strong consensus among us on the scope, nature, and intent of Russian interference in our presidential election. U.S. intelligence and law enforcement assessed that Moscow had multiple possible motives: undermine confidence in the vote, weaken Hillary Clinton, and help Donald Trump. Today, the president said he delivered a stern warning to Putin at the G20 summit in China in September.
When I saw President Putin in China, I felt that the most effective way to ensure that that didn't happen was to talk to him directly and tell him to cut it out, and there were going to be some serious consequences if he did.
Still tonight, U.S. officials say that Russia's hacking of U.S. political organizations continues unabated. Since the election, one attempted breach targeted the Clinton campaign, though unsuccessfully. President-elect Trump, however, continues to dismiss the U.S. assessment that Russia is responsible.
We had a meeting.
Despite the fact that he is being provided the intelligence behind that assessment in his classified briefings. And today he sought to divert attention back to one of the revelations gleaned from the emails stolen by Russia. Tweeting, "Are we talking about the same cyber attack where it was revealed that the head of the DNC illegally gave Hillary the questions to the debate?"
Ladies and gentlemen, hilariousness. First of all, this is CNN that refuted. I almost hesitated to play the soundbite. It's that refuted and ridiculous. But I did, just to give you the whole synopsis. So here's what you're left with, ladies and gentlemen. And they're very opaque. They're purposely very vague on these claims, right? So essentially, this is what you're supposed to do. These are the dots you're supposed to connect, and the media will encourage you, nudge you, if you will, to connect these dots as flimsy as they may. And bear in mind, there's been zero evidence presented, even to this day after this whole long diatribe on Capitol Hill, zero evidence that there's any correlation between Donald Trump winning the election and this nonsense. Now, by the way, I'm going to read you a quote from 9 months ago from this administration's White House. Russia is hacking the United States of America and is severely affecting our intelligence and our navigation by way of our intelligence. Now, what has been done, I ask you? What has been done? Again, I tell you, Democrats are in power. The pennies in the bunch about this. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Who's stinking responsible for this? All right, nonetheless, this is what you're supposed to correlate. Ready? The DNC leaks, which, by the way, I have zero confidence in the bureaucrats, just so you know. These guys lie. They're appointees. They're corrupt. The proof of this is not even 3 months ago, yet all the Democrats saying, oh, Comey and the intelligence all corrupt. Oh, it's all corrupt. It's all for Donald Trump. Now all of a sudden it all turns on a dime. All this stuff is nonsense. But I tell you this, what you're supposed to correlate is that because the DNC got hacked, and Assange says it's not the Russians, and I have reason to believe him a lot more than all these bureaucrats, but even if it was, the DNC got hacked. And what they said in their own words was exposed to the American people, which, of course, the media would never do that. The American people discovered these truths about the Democratic Party. The veneer fell off. It probably did have an epiphany moment in the mind of the American people. It probably did. But they're acting like this is some sort of egregious election fraud. No! Exposing who you are and removing the camouflage that is the American media and the academia and the entertainment industry and everything else that the deck's stacked against the GOP all the time. That's not corruption, and that's not meddling with election. That's breathing truth into the catacombs that is the leftist-run entertainment, information, and megaphone of disinformation that is the United States of America. But they're trying to get you to see beyond that truth and say, oh, there was voter meddling and Donald Trump wouldn't have won. And by the way, Donald Trump won in an astonishing victory. I remind you, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, it wasn't just a loss, it was a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath for the Democrats. They're trying to dispute this. They're trying to throw everything in front of the road between you and the truth on this, but that's the facts. Ladies and gentlemen, I also throw you this. If Barack Obama was so concerned about Russia, this, I remind you, happened again during one of his elections when apparently these egregious sins against America are not to be taken seriously. Listen closely.
This is my last space for you. Yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility.
Yeah, I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir. I understand what.
It's my last election. I understand. I'll transfer this information to Putin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is so transparently political. Barack Obama and the Democrats don't care about this. If they cared about cybersecurity, they would have dealt with cybersecurity. They care about power. Again, I tell you, the only motivation the Democrats have is their power. And I evidenced you the fact that they've done nothing about cybersecurity, even though everybody knows it's a problem. In fact, they've enabled Iran to take quantum leaps in their ability to harm the American people via cyber attacks. This is nonsense. This is politics. This is to pull the rug out from under a viable election where the American people rejected leftism. That is what this is. I'll leave you with Vladimir Putin's opinion on all this nonsense.
I told Russia to stop it.
Tonight.
Довод НАТО таков. Ракетный щит возводится не против вас, а против Ирана.
Вы меня рассмешили. Дай вам Бог здоровья, потому что уже конец рабочего дня, так, в принципе, уже спать пора. Поеду домой с хорошим настроением.
Join the courage culture. Visit Brock's YouTube channel for an intellectual arsenal against the lies of leftism.